Welcome. Hi there. Pam Drzwicki, owner of Powerful Purpose, and productivity and leadership coach. And I'm here today on Friday, April, what's the date? It's the 17th already. Can you believe it? Here we go. We're recording. It's April 17th, 2020. We're just finishing up week 4 with being home. And it's interesting that this topic is coming up, the difference between confidence and arrogance. And when we don't have confidence, how does that show up in our lives? And that actually the segue between confidence and arrogance is really a place when you don't have a lot of confidence and you end up showing up that way. Okay, so I wanted to start off with a little story that I sent out earlier, I think this week, and it was around confidence, about how I was asked to be on stage at in my previous career as in the insurance world. I had worked with a very successful wealth management advisor who was number 14 in the history of the company. And I was asked to go on stage to talk about the successes of being a powerful woman in the insurance industry, helping him rise to the top, and what were the keys that I attributed to us being in that place. So I had never been asked to be on stage before. So this is probably going back, 14 years ago or so, 10, 14 years. And it was at the annual meeting where there's tens of thousands of people that come to the annual meeting. And I was asked to be on stage during this breakout session. And there was probably about 300 people in the room. And it wasn't just me, but there was like maybe 4 or 5 other people up there. And I'm telling and sharing this story with you because it's really about how lack of confidence and what happens when you don't have the confidence in yourself, and not only in the ability of what you're doing, in speaking, in stepping out of your comfort zone, in your appearance, how you're standing up there, in your worthiness. Am I worthy enough to be up here? And why are they asking me? When reality is that I was the backbone of that business, and we built this practice together. So I had every right, I would say, to be up on stage, as he was always up on stage. The difference is that he had the confidence to be on stage. And sometimes it came out a little arrogant because maybe he was feeling uncomfortable himself around the success that we had created, because when you're successful, the limelight is shined on you. And they're watching everything that you're doing, because they want to emulate what you're doing, right? They want to imitate you, because imitation really is the biggest form of flattery. So while I was up on stage and we were talking about all these little nuances of how we became successful, and it's exactly why I'm successful today. The main thing was all about consistency and showing up, and that's the reason why. But when I was up on stage with the others, I felt very inadequate. I felt that I didn't belong up there, that my confidence level was so low, that my messaging was so quick and unclear. And after I was done, I ran off stage and kind of sat or hid in the back of the room, because I didn't want to be critiqued by what I thought was not a very good delivery of information. I blew that opportunity, I felt, to be able to shine as the successful person that I truly became because of my hard work and confidence, and later understood that they would have never asked me to be up there if they didn't feel that I deserved to be up there. So when we have that lack of confidence, what does that do, right? Our lack of confidence shelters us from being successful in a different light. I was successful because I was able to stay in the office and talk on the phone. I didn't have to be in front of people. So, which is very interesting now, right? When I come on, I'm doing Zoom, I'm doing speaking engagements now, and I'm doing all these different things. So, but that came with confidence, and it was a lot of hard work to get to this point. So have you ever felt a place in time that because of the lack of confidence that you might have been having around something, that you felt you lost an opportunity, that you could have shined in a bigger way or made a bigger impact, not only in your personal life, but in your business? Has there ever been a time that you've had that? Does anybody think of any time? Well, I know that, oh, Carol?
I can think of a time, but it goes way back.
That's okay.
But I go back to that because, like you said, it was a missed opportunity. It was way back when I was in high school. And I was really involved with student government and sports, and like we didn't have a really strong academic high school, so I did everything else because it was so easy. So anyway, I was class president for 3 years. My senior year, I was afraid to run because I would have to speak at graduation. And so I didn't do it. I didn't run for class president, and then we ended up with it didn't work out so well. I mean, I should have done it. I should have just made myself do it. And, you know, you want to be an inspiration to other people. But I often come back to that because, like, why did I pass up that opportunity? And now I feel a lot more comfortable in front of groups. But, you know, and what's that? It's 40 years ago or whatever. You know, like you grow and you look back and say, this was ridiculous. And so I try to say yes when I'm given opportunities, remembering how I felt, what I didn't do, you know, just because of the speaking. I was afraid to do public speaking.
And knowing that, right? Thank you for sharing that, because knowing the acknowledgement of it would have been okay, right? Like what weighing, everything comes down to our feelings. Like how are we feeling around this? And how are we going to be able to push forward in this particular situation? I was feeling afraid, inadequate, that I wasn't enough, that I wasn't thin enough, like all of this head trash that was going on. And that was supposedly determining if I was successful or not. But obviously it wasn't, because I was up on stage. So what I had to say was actually valid. And the missed opportunity was sharing those successful tips that I could have really shared confidently. So other people would have said, oh yeah, she was confident about that. I want to give that a try, and help elevate their business. And the same with the high school speech that you would have gave, would have probably transformed some other lives that they could have thought of. And working on that fact of working that into our talks, working that into being authentic, that to say, you know what, it's okay. I'm not feeling comfortable around this, and I'm not really confident, but you know what, I'm going to do it anyways, because my message really makes a difference. And I'm going to heed to that message and just keep on delivering it. And the more people that hear it, the better off it's going to be. So confidence is when we truly take the lead with our skills, right? We take your lead with our skills and our strengths, and we match them with the project at hand. So we're confident around it. If there's something that we're feeling that we're not confident, sit back and figure out what that is, and try to find the skill in there that you have, even just one thing that could switch your confidence around that. So when we find ourselves feeling a little lack of confidence, those are the different things that we could do, is just take a step back and look at what is it that we need moving forward to make us feel a little more comfortable. Now remember, if we're feeling uncomfortable, it means that we're ready for growth. We're ready to take that next step. So looking at that and saying, okay, I'm feeling uncomfortable. I'm not feeling very confident around this, but why is that? And then look at that and say, okay, if I do this, this is going to help me move to the next step. This is my growth period. I think too, it's almost like working out, right? Like when you work out and you work out and you work out, and if you don't change up, or you don't lift your weight, elevate your weights, or do more repetitions, or go that extra mile, literally, and you don't feel that discomfort in the tension of our muscles, then we aren't going to have the confidence that we're going to get to the next level in the shape that we want to be in. So thinking of our mind in the same way of moving forward. Now, when we're arrogant, what ends up happening? We want to be in control of everything, right? We show up all kind of, walk into the room and kind of cocky and talk over everybody, be the expert in everything, because we're afraid that people are going to see our weaknesses. And we don't want to be vulnerable. So sometimes we come off arrogant in that sense. And that's where that fine line is they're wanting to lead all the time. It says, regardless of whether or not the person is a good fit, they just want to be in there, regardless of it. Regardless if there's somebody else in the room that could lead that project better, they're going to say that they could do it because they don't want anybody else to feel that they're weak around something. I can't think of a time for me that I was trying to think about that when I felt arrogant. My personality style is more on the other side. Mine is more lack of confidence than feeling. Oh, so if I'm not feeling confident, I hide in the background instead of coming up front, right? And being arrogant and being like, oh yeah, I could do that. I could do that. I could do that. I rather sit in the background, think to myself a lot of times that, well, I can do that, but am I really good enough to do that? So working on the difference between getting confident all the time and just taking a deep breath around this, because it's so funny is that I come on every Friday, and every Friday before I start, I'm nervous. I'm like, okay, what am I going to talk about? And I know what I'm going to talk about. I research this stuff. I know this stuff. I teach this stuff. I coach this stuff. But I still have that little bit of my own lack of confidence. And it doesn't start settling in until probably like, a few minutes, 5 minutes into us starting a conversation around this. So when we're feeling that comfort is when we really need to monopolize on that, right? You're feeling comfortable. Let's dive right in. Let's do it again. Waiting too long in between something that we're not confident about, but we took that step, waiting too long in between, then we have to restart it all over again, right? So if I'm doing a speaking engagement or you're doing a speaking and I get off, or I'm doing a webinar and I get off and I'm on fire and it was just absolutely amazing, the best thing for me to do is schedule the next one right away. Mm-hmm. Right? So the same in any business or anything in our lives that might make us feel uncomfortable. Just schedule it right away, because you're going to love that feeling that you have. And the minute it dies down, you're going to forget about it. You're going to forget that was amazing. And all that head trash is going to start coming in. It's going to start telling you something different. Yeah, but you know what? You might have said too much, or you paused too much, or you didn't promote the product well enough, or you did, right? Like all of those negative things that are going to come up, and that's going to start really taking away from the confidence that we really should have.
I have a question.
Go ahead. Did someone have?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, Donna, if I'm taking over, you have to jump in and let me know.
No, it's all good.
Oh, good. So, it's kind of a spectrum. So you have this, this place, like I was saying with the high school situation, and then you have arrogance. So your lack of confidence to arrogance. But then I feel like there's this middle place that now I'm kind of at this middle place where I feel pretty confident that I can do what I have to do. It's still nerve-wracking and I'm still have to force myself. But then I struggle with, I don't want to brag. I would call it bragging. Like I was taught, keep modesty about your accomplishments. But like when I'm talking about my business to people who are interested in the business, I have to kind of brag. Like I've been doing it for 5 years and this has gone well for me. And I've earned these incentive vacations and I got these awards, and that feels like bragging to me. So I kind of struggle. Like, I don't know if that's more on the arrogant end, like I think there's something in the middle.
That, if I may, that middle is that expert positioning that we start having, that we need in our business. We need that. We need to start having that expert positioning, telling how long you've been in the business, how many women you've helped feel beautiful. Like that's okay. Using testimonials and sharing the testimonials is okay. Have something like, this is what my clients are saying, right? That type of thing. So that's where that is that you've built your confidence. Now you have the right to have that expert positioning, that you start sprinkling that in. And that is not, I know what you mean by that fine line between being boastful about things, right? But about business. So my business coach, he is a master at expert positioning. He does it so well. He doesn't even know he does it. Do you know what I mean? Like he just, oh yeah, when I was talking to my executive coaching client the other day, who works for that Fortune 500 company, like it's just all of that dribbles in there. And at first you're like, oh, But then what ends up happening, it's so fantastic, is that it's switches your thoughts in your mind. Wow, I want to be an executive coaching client, right?
Yeah.
So it helps, and then that helps boost the confidence and keeps us away from the arrogance, because then it's building your skills more.
Can I share a little bit too?
I would
want
love to.
just
Yeah.
applaud Carol for sharing that, because that's exactly what I was thinking. Because I was thinking to myself, Pam, as you started, this is a really interesting topic, because I've never looked at the true definition of why somebody is arrogant. I just figured, okay, they're just the way they are, right? And then for you to put that definition around it, that it's truly a lack of confidence on their own part, it makes perfect sense. And that's why the person is almost like backed into a wall, and it's like fight mode, right? And so I'm looking at this saying, okay, well, before I became, an entrepreneur and had my own business, I was so much an introvert, and I was the person that would just sit silent in a room and wouldn't say anything. Even if I had something really great to say, I'm like, oh, someone's going to judge that, or they're not going to like what I have to say, or what if somebody doesn't agree with me, or, and I would always just sit there. And I still get that way sometimes when I don't feel confident, when I'm in an environment where there's other people who seem on the surface to be so much more knowledgeable. But I love the points that you're making, Pam, because, there's times when you may have something good to share, which is good to share, like we're doing here. We're all sharing our opinions and our past experiences. And then there's the times when someone speaks just for the sake of speaking, and you can clearly see that in a room, and you start to realize what's causing that, and that certainly is a lack of confidence in them wanting to come across as being the go-to person. So these are all really good observations, but I was thinking the same thing. I was either very introverted, very quiet, very not confident back in the day. I don't think I've ever come across as arrogant. I might come across as a little bit of a know-it-all at times in a particular subject matter, especially because I do a lot of trainings and things like that. So I'm always trying to be very careful on how I deliver that message. But that middle area is where I feel that I am in that expert positioning, because when people, seek you out to be a speaker at an event, like you've done many times, and Carol, I don't know your background, but to come and speak. Like in my case, I'll get asked by like senior living communities or senior centers to come speak to a group of either baby boomers or their senior parent on a topic of downsizing, for example. And so they know that I'm coming in there because I have knowledge and I have this expertise that I'm going to share. And I always try to bring it back and be very relevant and be like, oh, you may think that, I've got it all figured out, and try to make it real and try to tone it down and be like, no, I have those same fears. I have those same experiences. And so that's where that middle ground is. So thank you for pulling that together, both of you.
Yeah, no, that's great observation too, because the middle ground, I think, is where most of us lie, right? In that middle ground where we are not arrogant but sometimes maybe arrogant. I remember as a child going to a family party and clinging by my mom's side. And so what ends up happening is that she's like, and they're family friends. It's just I was at an awkward age that all of a sudden the socialization wasn't as easy, right? And she was like, go play. And I'm like, no. And I was shy. I was in that lack of confidence stage. I didn't think that I wanted to be with them. What are they going to think of me now? All of these questions. And she made a point of saying, like, if you're sitting here, their observation might not be that Pam is shy. And their observation might be that you're just being arrogant or standoffish, right? So it's the way we our messaging and how we show up makes such a difference on all levels, from as a child all the way up to an adult, right? Older adult, in business owners, working in our careers, finding out what we need to show up confidently is what is going to make us a really good leader. And that's part of the leadership strategy coaching program that I'm doing, is helping people be better leaders in their lives. And when we become a better leader in our life, what ends up happening, everything else ends up falling into place. So finding that area and finding your strengths and showing up authentically around your strengths with confidence is actually going to be able to make you the leader that you want to be. So if anybody wants more information on the leadership strategy coaching program, feel free to reach out to me at pam@powerful-purpose.com, and I'd be more than happy to jump on a call with you to tell you more about that program. But in the meantime, I would love for everyone just to find what their confidence is. How do you become confident in your own life? I could tell you, you could be confident if you do this or that, but it really is what you need to make yourself feel confident. So if you just took a few minutes today before you do your planning for the week ahead and do some brain dumping around what it is that you need in your life to be confident, I'd love to hear from you to see what traits you're feeling that you need to get to the next level of being the best leader of your life. So, oh my goodness, thank you so much for participating and being here. And it's powerful-purpose.com. There's tons of resources out there. Feel free to jump out there, jump on my calendar, and I'd love to hear what you're going to do to make you the best leader of your life. Have an amazing week ahead. Until next Friday, take care and God bless.